Good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to bring you some updates about the war in Iran as the ceasefire expiration gets closer. You might hear me coughing during the stream. I am a bit under the weather again. It has been very busy, and I have managed to get myself sick again. But hopefully it won't be too bad. And we will power through and let you know what updates there are. Thank you to all of our moderators. We have Beth Mythical moderating, and Leslie Ladyhawk and Chris Camacho all moderating over there on YouTube. And Haley Girl, thank you for moderating. Also on Twitch, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star. Matthew Kohai, all moderating. Matthew Kohai 3, thank you. And Linda Belk, Larry, Misha moderate for us on X. And Kay Lowry Body moderating on Facebook. Thank you, Kay. And also, hey, thanks to Captain Chaos for being a member, and Dwayne Big Dude for being a member, Alex78 for being a member, House of Remy and King Kaju for being a member, and Stinky 13 Tree, thanks for being a member. So the two big things right now are, one, we don't know if there will be peace talks this week. We don't know if, remember, President Trump had originally said that the U.S. negotiators would be arriving tonight. Well, they haven't even left. They can't arrive if they don't leave. So J.D. Vance and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner have not left yet. At least not that I've heard. Oh, that's right. Once again, I forgot. Remember, YouTube has this thing where even if you set it to not show ads during the stream, it changes the setting during the stream. So you have to reset it during the stream. So that's what I have to do now. Okay, I just did that. Thanks for reminding me. Michelle Batten doesn't think talks are going to happen. So we don't know. Also, President Trump said the deadline expires Wednesday evening, U.S. time. That's the ceasefire. So what's going to happen when the ceasefire expires? That's 2 days from now, basically. Okay. So we're going to get you caught up here. I don't know if we'll get any updates tonight. We'll have to see. You never know. You never know. Thanks also, Brinton Photography from Nova Scotia. Thank you. Also, Rita, our member. Thank you, Rita. And 7.62. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. I'll have to go back and play the last day, but I don't believe there's been much movement there. Iran has closed it. They don't want anything moving through there, they have said. Let's see here. So we'll take a look at that. And I want to start with President Trump's comments. Let's talk about that. You never know. He might post something during the stream, President Trump. You don't know. You never know when things are going to happen. You just don't know. It is 3:19 a.m. Iran time right now. Oh, I did see this. A little while ago, I saw this and I wanted to mention it. Mohammad Ghalibaf, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, one of the Iranian negotiators, Look what Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf posted 2 hours ago. This is what he posted. I'm going to put it on the screen for you. Again, he is one of the negotiators. Trump, by imposing a siege, he means the blockade, and violating the ceasefire, seeks to turn this negotiating table, in his own imagination, into a table of surrender or to justify renewed warmongering. We do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threats, and in the past 2 weeks, we have prepared to reveal new cards on the battlefield. So first of all, he seems to suggest that they might not show up to the negotiations. If you say we do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threats, kind of sounds like you're not showing up to the negotiations. Okay, Libby says he's got my attention. I don't know what the new cards on the battlefield he's talking about are. I also don't know if when he says cards, if he's referring to when Trump says that the U.S. has all the cards and Iran has no cards. Remember, yesterday, the U.S. attacked and seized an Iranian cargo ship off the coast of Iran, about 30 miles off the coast of Iran. Ava Diva says it is just threats. Yo, it's Hassan says new missiles. Chris Newberry thinks it's newer, faster missiles. Where did they get them? Would be my question. Does he mean the Houthis might be getting involved by attacking shipping in the Red Sea? JCC says, will someone tell Iran they are defeated? Oopsie, hold on. Need this there. Some jerk thinks they got new weapons from China. Sean Lindsay says, famous last words. Hey, thanks to Swamp Fox for the gift membership. That's very nice of you. Thanks also Uncle D's 6467, who says nobody knows what Trump will do. I agree with you, Uncle D's. Nobody knows what Trump will do. I'm not sure if President Trump knows yet what he's going to do. Thank you, Martin Gingrich, who says, is it well verified that Iran has enriched uranium? I believe like that the IAEA says it and the U.S. says it. I mean, I don't know what you're saying by well verified. Yes, so I would say yes, given that the IAEA says they do. The International Atomic Energy Agency has said Iran has this enriched uranium. I was trying to get you one of their reports. I mean, look, I don't know how they go about getting this information, but I mean, for example, this is a report from the International Atomic Energy Agency, and this is from IAEA Board of Governors, and this is from late February of this year. And they talk about on page 4, the agency on February 6th informed Iran that it had observed through the analysis of commercially available satellite imagery regular vehicular activity around the entrance to the tunnel complex at Isfahan, in which UF-6 enriched up to 20% and 60% U-235 for 4 of Iran's declared nuclear facilities was stored. I mean, so they know they have this stuff. I don't know how they end up knowing this stuff. You'd have to go back. I'd have to go back and research that. But I don't. It's not this question as to like, well, do they really have enriched uranium? It is widely accepted that they do. Give me one moment here. You know, we can maybe go back and check this stuff later. But you know, it was an interesting question Martin asked. Like, you know, how is it known that Iran has about 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium, right? Which I didn't. Some of you might have remembered the answer to this question. So what I did is I said, well, that would be a good AI question. We were going to talk about Venice AI later on the stream because they're a sponsor. And maybe we can talk about them later. But I'm just going to show you what Venice AI said about this because I actually just looked it up. So, and again, I would have to go back and verify this stuff like with any AI, just to be clear. But maybe we can go back later. But I asked Venice AI, I said, the internet, I said, how is it known that Iran has highly enriched uranium? And just to kind of go quickly through what it said, by the way, Venice AI is private, uncensored, unbiased AI. They say that the international community's knowledge that Iran has enriched uranium, particularly to high levels, comes from several primary sources. One, the IAEA, which is what I was saying. As a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, Iran is subject to IAEA safeguards. IAEA inspectors are regularly granted access, although this has been intermittent and contentious at times. Now, I don't know if they're still being granted access. But they say that IAEA inspectors have been granted access, and they use sophisticated instruments to verify uranium enrichment levels, monitor centrifuge cascades, review Iran's declarations. National intelligence agencies also have looked into this and drawn conclusions. Places like Israel, the United States, and European nations. Iran's own announcements. At times, Iran has publicly announced its nuclear achievements as a point of national pride or a form of political leverage. For example, Iranian officials have publicly stated their progress in enriching uranium to 60% purity. Also, defectors and whistleblowers. Anyways, I would need to go back and research all of this stuff, which I'm not going to do right now. But that would be sources of the information that Iran, in theory, sources of the information that Iran has this highly enriched uranium, which the U.S. wants, which is uranium enriched to 60%, which would allow them, which apparently isn't, and they have enough of it to apparently let them make several bombs if they enriched it a bit more. And as many of you know, President Trump really wants them to give up that uranium. He would like the US to get that enriched uranium away from Iran. Anyways, so sorry, I didn't mean to. It was a bit of a deviation, but I thought it was an interesting question. Really quick, since we're talking about it anyway, I was going to talk about it later. My schedule got messed up, and maybe we can talk about it later. If I need to do AI, I'll ask Venice something later. But since we're on the topic, I just want to quickly mention that. Venice AI is private, uncensored AI, unbiased AI. It is private. It keeps your conversations completely private on your device. Nothing is stored, monitored, or collected. And also, it is uncensored. You can ask it anything without content restrictions or censorship. And it does not censor or filter the AI's responses. The platform remains neutral and unbiased. And if you want, you can try it for free at Venice.ai/agenda free. And the last thing I'll say is if you want, you can get 20% off a pro plan by using code agenda free. But you can try it for free if you want. I'll put the link in the chat. Okay. There you go, Venice AI. Now I'm going to get back to, again, that was not a plan. I didn't plan to do that then. It just kind of came up, so I did it then because I thought it was an interesting question. There's also this question about, it is believed that enriched uranium is in canisters at the bottom of rubble at one or more of the sites that the U.S. bombed last year. Now, is that what degree of, I see many articles talk about it. I mean, President Trump has talked about it. Is there any chance it's not there? I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing the U.S. would monitor very closely where it is, and they would monitor to see if it was taken out of there. So, I mean, President Trump has talked about it being in the rubble of these places. He calls it nuclear dust. But the question of how this stuff is known and to what degree of certainty is certainly an interesting question. LDG Free likes Venice. Glad you like it. Let's see here. Martin says, if they have highly enriched uranium, we definitely should go get it. They will go doomsday. Look, that's one of the big issues that President Trump wants to be dealt with. Chapman says, this is about Trump's oil. All right. Anyways, I want to, I have some more updates to talk about. Kit Kat thinks the war has nothing to do with Iran's uranium. Oh, Mammy used Venice AI and liked it. Thanks. Glad you liked it, Mammy. Good to hear. Yes, as Lolly Lollipop says, red is tankers and green is cargo ships. Why don't we take a... No, before we do anything, before we look at marine traffic, I gotta talk about what President Trump said today. So hang on, we're going to look at marine traffic. We're going to look at the Strait of Hormuz. I'll let you know if I see any more new updates. You never know. I know it's nighttime, both in the U.S. and there, but you never know what's going to happen when. You just don't know. So let's talk for a second about what President Trump said. I haven't looked at everything he might have said today, but I can tell you that he did do an interview today with Bloomberg. And I want to mention that. So, President Trump, Bloomberg reported that they talked to President Trump today on the phone. Okay? That's what Bloomberg said. They said that President Trump told them that the ceasefire expires Wednesday evening Washington time. And he also told Bloomberg it's highly unlikely that he would extend the ceasefire if no deal is reached before Wednesday. He also said he's not going to lift the blockade on Iran until a deal is signed. He also said that there is going to be a meeting in Pakistan. Now, he had told Bloomberg earlier today, President Trump, that the U.S. negotiators, excuse me, including J.D. Vance, would go to Pakistan and that the talks would be either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. Again, President Trump said today to Bloomberg that later Monday, which, I mean, it's right now, it's later Monday. He said later Monday, J.D. Vance would be going with the negotiators and that the talks would happen Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. I am not aware that J.D. Vance has left yet. And also, as I mentioned, it is not clear that Iran would even show up. Yes, as Marv says, Iran hasn't agreed yet. We don't know if there's going to be talks. I don't know if they'll send J.D. Vance there if Iran hasn't already agreed. Marl33 says, hope they don't show up. Who's they? It's only going to be a trap. I don't know who Marl thinks they is. HMN thinks Vance will be alone talking to the furniture. Nick thinks there's no point in negotiating. Rock says waste of jet fuel. Maybe we'll do a poll. Again, I apologize. I am under the weather. Let's do a poll. By the way, first, thank you, Martin Ging, for your support. Also, thanks to Summer Breeze for the membership. Alex78, thanks for the membership. Thank you, TE88, who says oil down. I'll have to check the oil price. Oil right now is, well, it's at 94 Brent and 86 and a half. It's roughly 95 Brent and roughly 86 and a half WTI. I mean, oil had gotten down, I think it was Friday. WTI had gotten down to about 81. Then it went up over 90 yesterday. Now it's at about 86 or so. Brent crude, similarly, had gotten, on Friday, it had dropped to about 86 or so. Then it went up yesterday to about 96. And now it's at 95 or so. Yeah, we'll take a look at some of President Trump's Truth Social posts shortly. Yisrael Lior Masor, thanks for being a member. Yisrael thinks Iran will pull their usual stunts. Thanks also to Summer Breeze, again, for being a member, and TE88. Also, Matedius. Thank you, Matedius, for your support. Uncle Ed's 6467 says, we know about the uranium, they bragged about it. Yeah, I know Iran has made pronouncements about it. I don't remember exactly what they've said. And also there would be this question of even if they had made pronouncements, you'd want to verify they had it. So I don't have at hand all the exact pronouncements they've made. But thank you, Uncle Ed's 6467. Thanks, Stephen Briones, who says, deadline approaching, what will happen? Thank you, Dreamer, also Dreamer17, and Bev M, who gave 5 memberships. Thank you, Bev M. Make sure you thank somebody if they give you a membership or a gift subscription. Thanks also Zarina, our member, Chevy Dad, our member, and Fiona Diamond. Sorry, I got to catch up. I have a couple other people to thank because I got behind on thanking people. Fiona Diamond, thank you so much. Thanks, Pat W, who gave 10 people membership. So nice of you, Pat W. Please thank Pat W if you got a membership from them. Badger Tail, thanks for being a member. Alex78, thanks for the gift membership. Shame GG. Thank you, Shame GG. Much appreciated. Did I thank Swamp Fox? If I didn't, thank you, Swamp Fox. Oh, we were going to do a poll. Thanks, Tander, for subscribing on Twitch. Thanks, Big Dog Gaming on Twitch. Thanks, and in Austin on Twitch and Lynn Austin on Twitch for subscribing. And I got that fire for subscribing. Let's do a poll. Will the peace talks happen this week? Yes or no? Simple question. Will peace talks happen this week? Will they happen? That is the simple question. I got to post it one more place. One moment. Hey, by the way, I also owe a thank you to Kristen McConnell Gates on Facebook for the stars and William Bowser for the stars. That's really nice of you. Thank you. William and Kristen McConnell Gates. Now, what I'm going to do is post this poll on Facebook. Then we're going to see what you think. And I'm going to cough a little more. Okay, I have the poll posted. We're going to see you think for a second. We're going to see you think for a second. And then you're going to vote after you think. Let's see. Someone said we answered it 2 weeks ago. Well, I mean, circumstances change. I don't know that we answered this question 2 weeks ago. It would be a different question. But at the same time, I mean, we ask, when circumstances change, we sometimes ask similar questions because the circumstances have changed. Okay, now let's go and do this. 72% of you think no. That's a lot. President Trump said it's going to happen. Citizen John Public says, I don't know why Iran would ever trust Jared Kushner or Steve Witkoff. I would not. On Facebook right now, it is 85% no on Facebook. 85% no. How about on Twitch? We have the same on both platforms. Look at that, 72% no. Truth WSYF said no talks means back to bombing. That's a poll question we might do later, which is if there, which is what is there going to be bombing again when the ceasefire ends? Guys, the ceasefire ends Wednesday night. Wednesday night Washington time. What's going to happen? Michelle Noir says bullying tactics only have opposite effects. Lee says, I'm in Australia and everything happens when I'm asleep. I cannot keep up. Eva Mayon says, Eva Mayon said something like, why is the U.S. still negotiating? Because Iran is just rearming. Oopsie, hold on a moment. Everything got wrong. Everything got messed up. There we go. We're back. There's the poll result. Very close in those two platforms there. They've apparently made all these preparations in Pakistan. They've secured this 5-star the hotel there that they use for the talks. Reportedly, they made guests leave the hotel. They've set up some traffic checkpoints, I know, there in Islamabad. But we don't know if the talks are happening. Last night I saw in Islamabad, we're going to get in a lot, well, not till later. Not for a while. In a few hours, there's supposed to be an Islamabad live shot. Too bad we don't have one right now. Thank you, Elmo. Elmo says there's a drone above Hormuz on Flight Radar 24. Maybe we'll check it. I've not heard from anyone I follow that, normally if there's anything kind of super different and urgent going on, they would post something about that. It's possible maybe it's flown there before. I don't know. Jesus UCSB thinks, why doesn't Trump think begging for talks is a huge L? Thanks, I am Charlie. And again, Alex78. Thank you, Alex, for the membership. All right. Well, thank you for voting in our poll. Most of you think that there's not going to be talks. On Facebook, it was 87% no. So again, President Trump said, he told Bloomberg that the ceasefire expires Wednesday night, Washington time. It's highly unlikely that he'll extend it, the ceasefire, if there's no deal that's reached before then. He's not going to lift the blockade until a deal is signed. He told Bloomberg there is going to be a meeting, meaning talks. He said they want a meeting and they should want a meeting and it can work out well. President Trump also told Bloomberg, I have it closed. I took their ship. I got 5 other ships I'll take today if I have to. Interesting quote. I might post that one. I might post that one. Why am I hearing myself? Oh, I see. Hold on. I want to post that quote. That was earlier today. He said that this morning. I'm not aware that any other ships have been taken. Give me a moment. Give me a quick moment here. Thanks for your patience. I just want to get this posted. I think it's an interesting quote. So again, the quote from Trump today to Bloomberg was, I have it closed. I took their ship. I got 5 other ships I'll take today if I have to. Paula Thompson says he expects this to be done in a day or two. Yeah, I mean, so he might be talking about some sort of framework of a deal. We talked about this last night, that any kind of comprehensive deal is going to involve all kind of details. The Obama era nuclear deal took, I believe, years to negotiate. But there's talk that maybe they would sign some sort of framework of a deal, some short thing. Although I don't know how, effective that would be. There's questions about that. But didn't he say to Bloomberg that he expected it to be short? Hold on a second. Let's see here. I mean, the last negotiating session was less than 24 hours. All right, I'm going to take some more comments from you guys. And, we'll look at what happened in the Strait of Hormuz. We'll see some more about what Trump said today. But just to remind you, what Ghalibaf, the speaker Ghalibaf, said of the Iranian parliament, he is one of the Iranian negotiators. He said this a couple hours ago. He said Trump, by imposing a siege and violating the ceasefire, seeks to turn this negotiating table in his own imagination into a table of surrender or to justify renewed warmongering. We do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threats. And in the past 2 weeks, we have prepared to reveal new cards on the battlefield. Darcy says there's no way Trump will stop the blockade right now. Jennifer Lee thinks Iran isn't going to give up anything. Captain Goddamn says new cards equals kill more innocent, uninvolved people. Snazzy says, tell you the truth, I don't believe anything anymore. Real Joe Bob thinks Iran wants blockade lifted so they can get solid propellant being shipped in from China. Daisy says, what did the Navy find in that ship? I have not heard any updates. The ship that U.S., remember the U.S. yesterday, they seized an Iranian cargo ship after firing into its engine room, blowing a hole in its engine room. We don't know if anybody was injured in that incident. We don't know what was on the ship. I have not heard any updates about that. I don't know. I haven't heard it. Maybe you guys have heard something. I haven't. Quake Cloud says probably cheap plastic junk. I don't know. Brittany Baby Girl says we know nothing. Hey, look, hold on a second. They did say this, for whatever it's worth. Here's what Central Command said today, a couple hours ago, 3 hours ago. U.S. forces patrol the Arabian Sea near the Tuska, the ship, as the Iranian-flagged vessel's container cargo is searched after the U.S. Marines boarded and seized it. All right, so let's look at these pictures here. Now let's see this one. I guess that's the ship after it was hit. Looks like it. You can't really see the damage. I guess. Oopsie. Sorry, I know you're seeing that. These pictures were released a few hours ago. So it must have got hit on the other side. That doesn't look like you can see anything on that side. I don't think. Oh, well, no, it was the other side, right? Because I remember when we saw the video of it that was released, I believe the Navy was on, the U.S. Navy was on this side of it, right? Yeah, one of our viewers, Claudiot, says it was the other side. That's the ship, though. The engine room, right. I mean, it hasn't sunk. Now, that's also the back side of it, right? Yeah, that's also the back. I think if you could see the other side, you'd see damage. I assume. It's the same, that's the same side. Uncle Dees says we hailed this vessel for over 6 hours. That's what they said, that they communicated it with for 6 hours. That means there is something important on that ship. Why would they continue under threat? Yeah, it's a good question, but I don't know. I don't know what was said and what was said back and why they would continue. I mean, they're obviously not going to outrun the U.S. Navy. Maybe they were told to. Maybe Iran wanted this to happen, or maybe their bosses just said, like, go try it and see if they'll let you through. I don't know. I mean, we just don't know. But we don't even know what exactly was said on each side. So I'd love to know more. We know very little. This ship yesterday was not updating after the incident. And no, it has not updated since the incident. It's on the map. It's the same as it was yesterday. About 30 miles off the coast, and you can see it. There it is, right there, Tuska. But you see, it stops and it turns, or it slows down and it turns around. But that's the last ping was a day and 10 hours ago, like 34 hours ago. CNN reports that Vice President Vance is expected to leave Tuesday. That's what CNN is saying right now. That Vice President Vance is expected to leave tomorrow. Give me a moment here. I just saw that on CNN. Let me post that actually. You know, the thing is, though, CNN was reporting that hours ago. I mean, Elena Trine of CNN 10 hours ago said J.D. Vance is currently expected to depart Washington on Tuesday. So I don't know that that's new information. Now, let me see if anyone else is reporting it. Faytux News said that the New York Times was reporting it. Let me see. Let me see what's being reported right now. I need to check. The New York Times also says that J.D. Vance is expected to leave for Islamabad tomorrow. We have no commitment from Iran to actually show up yet. We did a poll, and the majority of you said that there would not be talks this week. Castle Keeper thinks Iran is not going to the meetings. Thomas Wiley thinks Iran will definitely not participate. Truth thinks that Vance will leave in the morning. Jamie says, why would Vance literally leave right before the ceasefire ends? Yes, Darcy says negotiation would be Wednesday if he leaves tomorrow. I believe it takes around 20 hours to get there because I think they stop. Something like that. And then you have to add the time change because Pakistan time, it's a 9-hour difference. So if JD Vance leaves in the morning here, he's basically leaving in the evening there. So, yes, that would mean Wednesday in Pakistan he would show up. Hell of a Time says regarding the ship that was seized by the U.S., it will obviously take days to offload and open hundreds of containers when it reaches shore somewhere. I don't know if they're taking it somewhere, though. That I don't know. It's a good question. Let's look at marine traffic for a second. Give me a moment. I do like to check every once in a while and see if we have anything else coming out of the area. Okay, marine traffic. Let's look at the last 24 hours here. There's the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to look at the last 24 hours and play it through. Here we go. I saw one report that said 16 ships had gone through in 24 hours. Is that true? I don't know. I haven't looked yet. On a normal day before the war, it would have been about 130. All right, so I see Nova Crest. It looks like Nova Crest went through, right? Definitely. Now, maybe these ships paid Iran. I don't know. One says 17850 went through. Looks like Axon 1 went through. Maida had tried to go through before and then turned around. So did Maida get through this time? Let's see Maida. Look at Maida. It's going north. Maybe that's where it was going north. I don't know. Seaway looks like it went through. Looks like Maida went through. Certainly does. And some more I'm seeing. I don't think I got them all. Again, this is the last day. Did Zanar go through? Zanar too? There were definitely some. I mean, you could see it. Has anything had to have actually hit a mine, 1010? I have not heard any reports that any ship has hit a mine during this war. Is it possible there are no mines? It seems like it's possible. I mean, there's been no 100% confirmation that there's mines. We don't know. Iran has spoken as if there are mines there. So has President Trump. Looks like Lian Star made it through, maybe, or is making it through. Lian Star. Now, before Iran had said a couple days ago, nothing's getting through. But it looks like, it looks like it's still, the way it was during the war, most of the time, which is that a few strips get through. It's not nearly as many as used to go. They have to pass through close to Iran when they go through. And for all I know, they're paying them. I don't know. Iran has said that they are charging and want to keep charging ransom, or whatever they call it, fee of some sort. Dalamai says, I wonder if they are paying tolls. This is marinetraffic.com. It is a marine ship tracking and marine analytics provider. You can find it at marinetraffic.com. Now, what I'll do is, first of all, thanks to Least Trustworthy Weasel. I owe some thanks from before. Least Trustworthy Weasel. Prob Solved, thank you. I Am Charlie, thank you. Uncle D's, thank you. And Ryan, thanks for being a member. Oh, I didn't check. I got to check Flight Radar 24 soon, too. I will. I was going to check some of these ships that went through. And we'll see what information there is there. Nova Crest, I think, went through. Nova Crest, oil products tanker. It is under the flag of Cameroon. It is heading to UAE, it says. And that seems to have gone through today. See? It went through. Why did this ship go through? I can't. Did it pay to go through? I don't know. Dorm Machine says they're going to set up a toll booth in the Strait of Hormuz. Let's try another one. 17850. Cargo ship. There's no picture of it. That's an Iranian ship. One of the ships, the 17850, is an Iranian cargo ship. That moved through today. See? Looks like it was in Oman originally. Now, I don't know if this is heading for an Iranian port, but Iran's ports are supposed to be blockaded. All right, so there's that one. And then there's Axon. Axon 1 is an LPG tanker under the flag of Angola. It is heading to the UAE, supposedly. And if you look at past track, it looks like it came from China, it said. Originally, it said came from China. And that went through today. And again, it's taking that prescribed route right around Iran's Larak Island. That is the route Iran wants the ships to go. Black Cat thinks they have been moving from ports within Iran to Iran and Oman. That was just I didn't look up all the ships. I just showed you a few of them, but there were clearly a number of ships that went through today. In the past day. Truthway said Maida was a big tanker. We didn't check that one. LPG tanker Maida under the flag of Botswana heading for the UAE. It departed from Djibouti. And this is the past track, what happened today. You can see it went through. There it is. That's now. That was a couple days ago. So it did go through. And again, it went on the prescribed track that Iran wants ships to go through. So I would not be surprised if these ships paid a ransom, but I cannot guarantee that. I cannot verify that. Dark Morse says Navy warship are looking for them. We haven't heard about any more seizures from the Navy. Sorry, I am a bit sick. So I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. I might have to have a cough drop. I may have a cough drop. Even though it'll annoy you, I'm going to have one. Michelle says, this is the biggest mess I've ever seen. I think I saw an article about the cruise ships. Hang on. Mm-hmm. So Bloomberg reported, we had been looking at this on the radar, on the ship tracking site. Bloomberg said that several cruise ships raced to exit the Strait of Hormuz over the weekend. And I'll say this, so one travel operator that owns two of the ships, the cruise ships that went through, the Mein Schiff 4 and Mein Schiff 5, they said, the company said that the ships went through with the authorities' approval. Oh, here we go. This is interesting. This is very interesting. Look at this. Mein Schiff, TUI Cruises. The company said, Mein Schiff 4 and Mein Schiff 5 en route to the Mediterranean. They have successfully left the Orient region. The originally canceled voyages of these two ships can now go ahead as planned in May. The CEO of TUI Cruises says, where? No, sorry, I want to go down here. Mein Schiff 4 and Mein Schiff 5 have successfully passed the Strait of Hormuz. The passage took place based on the relevant coordination and approvals from the authorities in a controlled manner and with careful consideration of the security situation. Do they mean the Iranian authorities or the U.S. or both? That's what they said. I'll show you what they, 002 said vague posting. I'll show you what it looked like. So this was on, that was the, hold on, this was the Mein Schiff 4. Mein Schiff 5 descent. This would have been April. Hold on, when were we there? April 18th, 7 UTC. Let me show you what happened. So I'm going to do this. I went back to a couple days ago to show you what happened. There you go. See the blue ships? Look at the blue ships. Those are the cruise ships. There's two of them. And then there's Mein Schiff 4 and 5 right there. Those two are Mein Schiff 4 and Mein Schiff 5. This is very sped up, by the way. They took this very southern route, but they made it through. You can see them. Dorm machines that they drove through the minefield. I don't know that there are any mines there. I also don't know, again, did they coordinate with Iran? If so, or either way, were they able to take that southern route next to the coast? Was it dangerous for them to take that route? DM Hound says, strange how some ships don't take that route. Most ships don't take that route. So I can't tell you how that all happened. But the company says they talked to the relevant authorities. App L says nobody knows if there's a minefield. User says, I doubt Iran laid mines there. I think that's actually Oman territorial waters. Unpurged says, doubt Iran planted any mines. BSH Blue says, good for them. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Iran reached some agreement with the ships and said, like, pay us to leave or something. But I don't know. I believe those ships are uncrewed, by the way. The one, not uncrewed. I believe they don't have passengers on them, those cruise ships. They have crews but not passengers, I believe. So that's interesting. Oopsie. So Bloomberg says, we just saw it on the replay. Bloomberg said 4 cruise ships got out about 45 minutes apart, hugging the Omani coastline. Oh, one other ship went earlier than them. So 5 cruise ships total. Oh, also, one of the other cruise ships that we saw go through was called MSC Eurybia. Its owner also said that it passed through in close coordination with the relevant authorities, whatever that means. And the 2 other cruise ships were Celestial Journey and Celestial Discovery. No comment on that in the Bloomberg article from their owners. Anyway, so 5 of them got out. Yes, those are really cruise ships. Now, Bloomberg pointed out they went. That was the day when briefly Iran had said that the strait was open for commercial traffic. So I don't know if that announcement had anything to do with them going through, but again, it was 5 in a short amount of time. I have President Trump's schedule for tomorrow, by the way. I'll show you. I'm very sorry about the coughing. It's just been so busy. I get sick when I get worn down, and it's been so busy between all of the news and the travel I had to do and all of this other stuff I had to do, which wasn't getting done when I was traveling. There's just been so much going on, and this is what happens. All right, here is President Trump's schedule. Then I have one more thing this weekend. I have this big, it's like a college reunion thing this weekend, which I need to go to. Hopefully I won't be sick for it. But once that happens, then things will not be so insane. Here's the schedule for tomorrow. President Trump's schedule. Let's look at it. Thanks to Uncle D's. Uncle D says, why are we sending the vice president? Thanks also, Don62. I appreciate that, Don. Thank you also, Sparky Jean, who says May 1st is when Congress gets involved. Well, you're talking about my brain is having a blank right now. But the law that gives a certain number of days before the president has to get congressional approval to have troops fighting in hostilities. The thing is, it's actually 90 days. It's not 60 days because the president can sign a letter saying something like that the extra 30 days are needed to get them home safely, and then he gets the 30 days. So it's really more like 90 days. Also, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Congress, but what I will say is I read a lot of articles about this war, and I listen to Trump. I have not seen any discussion that there's going to be any kind of serious pressure coming from the 60-day mark. I don't think I've seen one article or one expert say that they expect that Trump will face any kind of pressure to end this because of the 60-day deadline. War powers resolution. But again, it's technically 90 if he signs this letter. So maybe he'll do that. We're on day 20 plus 31. I think it's day 52. Thanks so much, Sparky Jean. So maybe that'll be more of an issue when we get to 90 days, if we get that far. Thank you, Sparky Jean. Thank you also, Least Trustworthy Weasel and Prob Solved. All right, so President Trump's schedule tomorrow, executive time in the morning, which is often what he has. CNBC interview, phone interview, CNBC, 8:30, guys. Phone interview, CNBC. Policy meeting at 1:30. Policy meeting at 3. Remarks to NCAA collegiate national champions at 4 p.m. There you go. Okay, let's see if we have any more updates here. We're going to take some more comments too. I'm checking Iranian media to see if they have any updates. Right now it is 4:29 a.m. Iran time. Now I wanted to check. Hold on a moment here. Oh, hey guys, I saw something about the ship, the seized Iranian ship. Reuters has some reporting about the seized Iranian ship. But first, I did promise that we were going to check Flight Radar 24. Okay, Flight Radar 24. Here you go. Not a lot, nothing, no, this is, you can go to flightradar24.com and check this out. There is a drone flying around in probably doing blockade surveillance. Northrop Grumman MQ-4C Triton drone. That is in the Strait of Hormuz. Looks like it flew out from Jordan, maybe, but that's where it is right now. My Florida says 230 million. Yeah, I think these are the ones that are around 200 million or so. There was a report that one of these had been shot, had gone down. I don't know how. We talked about that. Oh, it's not found anymore. There was a report that one of them was lost, a couple weeks ago? Over the Strait of Hormuz, I think. Actually, I think the Navy confirmed that. But we talked about that before. Yeah, the Navy confirmed a loss of one of those types of drones. That was back on April 9th. Well, anyways. I believe that there's been those drones there before. What if I go to 2 days ago, the 19th, start playback? This is from the 19th. I'm just seeing if I play it forward, will we see another drone there? I think there's been drones there before. I don't know what day they were there though. Well, I'm not seeing it right now. I'm not going to worry about it. I was scrolling back on the timer here to try to. Can you see this? Oh, hold on a second. No, you can't. You can't. On the bottom, I'm scrolling back. This is like a replay from the last few days. And I'm just seeing if I can find when a drone was flying there. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Anyways. Oh, look. This is, what is this? This is the #1 tracked plane. It's a U.S. Air Force plane. Gordo 12. Gordo 12. It right now is, looks like it's landing in, or it's in Texas. I don't know. Is it one of the Doomsday planes? Doomsday planes regularly fly over the U.S., by the way. Is this one of them? I don't know. We talk about this regularly because people bring it up. But they do regularly fly Doomsday planes over the U.S. They are, if this is indeed one of them, they're command and control planes for the president Is this it? Well, that's not it though. I was looking, hold on. I have this one. This one is a Boeing 747 E4B. I was looking at this. This is an E6B Mercury. That's a strategic airborne command post aircraft providing survivable, reliable, and endurable airborne nuclear command control and communication for the President, Secretary of Defense, and U.S. Strategic Command. But that wasn't the one we just saw. Oh, E4B. We saw an E4B. Is that what we saw? There was an article in NBC Los Angeles last year that said E4B plane, U.S. Air Force E4B, known as the Doomsday Plane. It can serve as the National Airborne Operations Center for the President and other high ranking government officials. The country has a fleet of them with at least one on alert around the clock. It provides a control center to direct U.S. forces, execute emergency war orders, and coordinate actions by civil authorities. There are 4 of them, according to NBC LA, as of last year. That's not, I shouldn't be showing this on the screen because that's not the exact one. That's not it. This is it right here. That's it. Oh, this is the one. That's the one we were looking at right there, right? The E4B. See? Weren't we just looking at that one? We can go check. Flight Radar 24. Yeah, right there. It's an E4B. That's it. So the E4B serves as the National Airborne Operations Center and is a key component of the National Military Command System for the President, Secretary of Defense, and Short Joint Chiefs of Staff. In case of national emergency or destruction of ground command and control centers, the aircraft provides a highly survivable command, control, and communication center to direct U.S. forces, execute emergency war orders, and coordinate actions by civil authorities. Capable of refueling in flight, protected against the effects of electromagnetic pulse. At least one E4B is always generated as an NAOC and on alert 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'll post a link to this page so you can read more about it. But the fact that there's one flying above the U.S. does not mean that there's a national emergency. These kind of reports happen regularly of them flying above the U.S. Mission said, yep, the Doomsday Plane. Anyways, I wanted to mention that. Oh, I was going to mention this report about the ship that was taken yesterday. I just saw a report about it. We should talk about that. Thanks to our moderators who are here. Ruth is moderating. Haley Girl is moderating. Roberts May Queen is moderating. Thank you so much. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha, moderate for us on X, on Twitch. Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, Matthew Kohai 3, Sarah, thank you. On Facebook, let's see here. We have Paul Anderson and Kay Lowry Body and Andrea Holder and Shannon Davis Hughes. Thanks, Joanne Gradwoll, for subscribing on Facebook. Kristen McConnell Gates, thanks for subscribing too. Also, I have to thank for subscribing Martha Crawford and Susan Priest Buchner, and I think it was Evelyn Berry Speedell. Thank you. Also, Uncle D's. Thank you so much, Uncle D's, for your support. That's really nice of you, Uncle D's. And Ab Scythe. Yeah, I have some Ricola cough drops right here. Sometimes I use those. All right, I want to show you this. I haven't even seen this story from Reuters. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Look, I just saw this. Seized Iranian ship likely carrying equipment deemed dual use by U.S., sources say. Oh, the U.S. posted a video, by the way. I'll mention this. Some of you might not have seen this. The U.S. posted a video of the CENTCOM posted video of troops going onto the ship by helicopter. Here, so let me first show you that. Okay, so you'll see right now, I'm going to put it on the screen. U.S. Marines depart amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli by helicopter and transit over the Arabian Sea to board and seize MV Tuska. The Marines rappelled onto the Iranian-flagged vessel after guided missile destroyer USS Bruins disabled Tuska's propulsion by firing on its engine room when the commercial ship failed to comply with repeated warnings from U.S. forces over a 6-hour period. Okay. I'm having another cough drop, sorry. So, that was, they put out that video. And our viewer Buck Tasty says it must feel cool to bully unarmed cargo ships. Drax says poor piracy here. Revolutionary American says our boys are badass. Elsewhere says seized a commercial ship. Wow. Trump's pool guy says that's because the U.S. has again the strongest military in the world thanks to Trump. Will Iran retaliate for this? They said they were going to. State media claimed that they had fired some drones after that at Navy ships. I don't know if that's true. John Turpin says should have complied. Official Jackpot says if you see something wrong with boarding this ship, you need to reevaluate your political stance. Okay, so I want to now show you. I haven't even read this story myself. Reuters. Seized Iran. Oops. seized Iranian ship, likely carrying equipment deemed dual use by U.S., sources say. Let's see here. The Iranian-flagged container ship Tuska, which was boarded and seized by U.S. forces on Sunday, is likely to have what Washington deems dual-use items that could be used by the military on board, maritime sources said on Monday. The small container ship, which is part of the Islamic Republic of Iran shipping lines group that has been hit with U.S. sanctions, was boarded on Sunday off the coast of Iran's Chabahar port in the Gulf of Oman and last reported its position yesterday, 13:08 GMT. Central Command said the crew failed to comply with repeated warnings over a 6-hour period, and the vessel was in violation of the U.S. blockade. The security sources said their initial assessments were that the vessel was likely to be carrying dual-use items after a voyage from Asia. I believe that the Washington Post had said the vessel had been in China before coming to the waters off Iran. The vessel had previously transported items as dual use, one of the sources said. The sources did not go into details on the items. U.S. Central Command has listed metals, pipes, and electronic components among other goods that could have a military as well as an industrial use and could be captured. Iran's foreign ministry did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Iran's military said the ship had been traveling from China and accused the U.S. of armed piracy, according to state media on Monday. I should go see if I can grab a statement from them. I might check that after on this. They said they were ready to confront U.S. forces over the blatant aggression, but were constrained by the presence of crew members' families on board. I need to find that statement from the Iranian government. They said they were ready to confront U.S. forces over the blatant aggression, but were constrained by the presence of crew members' families on board. Washington imposed sanctions on that Iranian shipping line in late 2019, describing it as the preferred shipping line for Iranian proliferators and procurement agents, which included transporting items intended for Iran's ballistic missile program. The crew includes an Iranian captain and Iranian crew members, although it was not clear if the entire crew were Iranian nationals. Those ships of the IRISL are under control of the Revolutionary Guards, and their crew are typically made up of Iranians, and sometimes they also use Pakistani seafarers, one of the sources said. The vessel was detected alongside at China's Taikang port, north of Shanghai, on March 25th, and arrived at China's southern Gaolan port, March 29th and 30th. This was a ship that came from Chinese ports, according to satellite data. There were containers loaded in China. Then they made a stop around the Port Klang anchorage in Malaysia, and they loaded further containers in Malaysia. China has expressed concern, by the way, the article says, over the forced interception by the U.S. of the Iranian-flagged cargo ship. A Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson said on Monday, urging relevant parties to abide by the ceasefire agreement in a responsible manner. And remember this, on Thursday, the U.S. Navy said that they were widening their shipping blockade on Iran to include cargoes deemed contraband and any vessels suspected of trying to reach Iranian territory. Contraband included weapons and ammunition. They said such ships will be subject to belligerent right to visit and search. I need to try to find the statement that the Iranian government put out about this today. Olive oil says, so in other words, it didn't contain much. I was hoping it was full of Legos. Claudiot said Iran said that crew members had family members with them. I'm going to find that now, or try to. I got to go back. I'm sure it's got to be here somewhere. By the way, here's a statement from, I guess, a pro-Iranian Iraqi group. This is from Iranian state media. Iraqi resistance group. We are ready to resume operations against the occupiers. Abu Mahdi al-Jafari, spokesman for the Iraqi Awliya al-Dam brigades. As the end of the ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. and Israel aggression approaches, we in the Islamic resistance of Iraq are fully prepared to resume our military operations, which have succeeded 200 operations against the presence of the occupiers in Iraq and the region, with greater intensity and impact in a way that will make the hearts of the believers happy and anger the infidel aggressors. Okay. Althea Thune says, I'm all right. Dolly Clark says, here we go. Trying to find that statement from Iran about the ship that apparently came out today. So give me a moment. I'm scrolling back here. Excuse me. How far back do I need to go to find this statement about the ship? If I'm even looking, I think I'm looking in the right place. Give me a moment. Ah, I found it. I found it. I found the Iranian Armed Forces statement about the incident with the ship. Well, a newer one from today that I hadn't seen yet. Hey, look. Here is a statement from the Iranian Armed Forces. Iranian armed forces will take necessary action against the American terrorist army. After the apparent, this is from state media Tasneem. After the apparent aggression of the American terrorist commandos against an Iranian merchant ship in the waters of the Sea of Oman, the armed forces of Iran were ready to deal decisively with the American aggressor forces. However, due to the presence of some of the families of the crew of the said ship, they faced restrictions to protect their lives and safety, who were in danger at every moment. He's saying that's why they didn't respond. The armed forces didn't respond because they didn't want to hurt, they said, families of the crew on the ship. Given the current circumstances, after ensuring the safety of the families and crew of the ship that was attacked by the U.S., the powerful armed forces of Iran will take the necessary action against the terrorist army of the U.S. Well, there you go. I hadn't seen this statement yet. Glooman says, sure, but sure. Some of you might have seen this earlier today. I had not seen it yet. So they're still saying, Iran, that they're going to respond in the future for what happened to the ship. Chessfish says, why were they sending ships with families to test the blockade? Ceolatus says, sounds like a threat to me. Mr. Satnav says, Iran has the right to defend herself. Althea says, the statement is a total knee slapper. Fantasy says, how many times do you think they can get Vance to fly to Pakistan for nothing? Catherine Hendricks says, who brings their family to a war zone? Thanks to Samuel DeMarco. Samuel says, I have been tracking these doomsday plane flights for years. One E4 in the year is 100% normal. 3 plus E6Bs and or 3 plus E4Bs, we might have a problem. Thank you, Samuel DeMarco, for your support. We haven't even looked at what President Trump said today on True Social. I need to take 1 minute, just 1 minute, and then I'm going to come back in 1 minute and we're going to talk about that. Oh, by the way, just to be clear, I have no idea. It doesn't sound. Many doubts could be raised about the claim that they had families on the ship, and that is why they didn't respond. Just to be clear, this is one of these, as I've said before, many things from Iranian state media I take with a big grain of salt. This does not, I mean, I don't know for sure it's not true, but on the face of it seems unlikely that that is the reason. But I don't know for sure, just to be clear. Iran has a record of talking up their military exploits in ways that frequently involve false statements about them. We've seen that during the war. So, anyways, let me real quick. I need just 1 minute. 1 minute. So hang out for 1 minute. I'm coming. I will disappear for 1 minute and come right back. See, I said a minute. It was a minute. Okay, now let's look. We have not even talked about what President Trump said today on his Truth Social. We're bringing you live coverage. The ceasefire expires Wednesday night, according to President Trump. There are several reports in the media that say that J.D. Vance and the rest of the team will leave for Pakistan tomorrow, early tomorrow. But it's unclear. And also it's unclear if Iran will even show up for negotiations. So those are some big questions. Static Nouveau says team failure. We did a poll before, and the majority of you thought that there would not be talks this week. What will happen when the ceasefire expires? We will have to see. All right, hold on a moment here. Oh, what is this? Is there something new from CENTCOM? Oh, by the way, the Abraham Lincoln, the CENTCOM posted that aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln received supplies during a vertical replenishment in the Arabian Sea with supply ship USNS Carl Brashear. Abraham Lincoln is currently operating in the Middle East, enforcing the U.S. naval blockade on vessels attempting to enter and depart Iranian ports. I have not heard a specific time when J.D. Vance is supposed to be flying. Okay, President Trump posted several things earlier today that talked about Iran. Here is one of them. He said, Israel never talked me into the war with Iran. The results of October 7th added to my lifelong opinion that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. It's a little bit of an awkward sentence. Israel never talked me into the war in Iran. The results of October 7th did. He seems to be saying. Added to my lifelong opinion that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. I watch and read the fake news pundits and polls in total disbelief. 90% of what they say are lies and made-up stories. And the polls are rigged, much like the 2020 presidential election was rigged, he claims. Just like the results in Venezuela, which the media doesn't like talking about, the results in Iran will be amazing. And if Iran's new leaders' regime change are smart, Iran can have a great and prosperous future. President DJT. That was this morning. There's more, but he posted that. He says Iran can have a great and prosperous future if its new leaders are smart. Wall Street says the big problem is that Israel and the U.S. have different end goals. Okay, next one. Next one from him. He posted several. Carl Feathers thinks he was melting down on Truth today. Here's the one after that he posted. Next one. This was at 1:35 p.m. today. President Trump said, "The deal that we are making with Iran will be far better than the JCPOA, commonly referred to as the Iran nuclear deal, penned by Barack Hussein Obama and Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst deals ever made having to do with the security of our country. It was a guaranteed road to a nuclear weapon, which will not and cannot happen with the deal we are working on. They actually gave $1.7 billion in green cash, loaded into a Boeing 757 and flown to Iran for Iranian leadership to spend any way they saw fit. He emptied out all the cash from banks in D.C., Virginia, and Maryland. Those bankers said they've never seen anything like it before. In addition, hundreds of billions of dollars was paid to Iran. If I did not terminate that deal, nuclear weapons would have been used on Israel and all over the Middle East, including our cherished U.S. military bases. The fake news, like lightweight Washington Post journalist David Ignatius, loves to talk about the JCPOA, knowing that it was dangerous and a complete embarrassment to our country. If a deal happens under Trump, it will guarantee peace, security, and safety not only for Israel and the Middle East, but for Europe, America, and everywhere else. It will be something that the entire world will be proud of, instead of the years of embarrassment and humiliation that we have been forced to suffer due to incompetent and cowardly leadership." That is from 1:35 today. It's interesting. He posted a bunch about Iran today, but it wasn't like a lot of like new, sometimes he'll post like a new thing, like new policy. Like, hey, we're doing the blockade now or something. The posting today was not like new policy. Hold on a moment here. Jerry Akbar says the 1.7 was their money we froze. We gave them back their money with interest. I'm going to see if I can pull up something really quick about this. Without getting into a whole research project. I believe the 1.7 was money that had been frozen from them. But what our viewer just said, but really quickly here. According to, hold on. Brookings Institute has an article that gets into this, which I'll post a link to in the chat. I'm not going to read the whole article now. They say that in the 1960s and 1970s, Iran was the largest partner of the U.S. foreign military sales program. A trust fund was established with Iranian funds to pay U.S. contractors as work progressed on the various contracts. Then the Iranian Revolution happened. And there were negotiations over the years about that fund with the Iranian money in it. The trust fund amounted to $600 million until the George H.W. Bush administration returned $200 million to Iran in 1990 in a partial settlement. Then the settlement announced under the Obama administration involved the return of the $400 million in principal and a payment of $1.3 billion in interest. Anyways, I don't want to do a whole research project on this now. There's a Brookings Institution article, which I would like to look at later myself, which has some detail about that part of it. I just posted a link to it. They go into the whole where this money came from. It's a whole article about that $1.7 billion. The article is from 2016. Let's see here. I want to read some more comments and get to the next thing Trump posted. Wall Street thinks if Trump even gets a deal, it will likely be similar to the JCPOA. That's what Wall Street thinks. PBP thinks the issue is not where the money came from, but the fact that Obama paid it to terrorists without a meaningful deal. That's what PBP thinks. One of our viewers, Dylan Deckard, says, it doesn't sound like Iran wants to give up nuclear weapons. Well, they don't have them, but you're saying they're probably the ability to produce them. So the key word is if they make a deal. All right, let's go to the next one that he posted today. By the way, the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation has a article about the Iran nuclear deal, the original one. They say that the $1.7 billion payment to Iran was comprised of $400 million that Iran had placed in a U.S. foreign military sales trust fund and $1.3 billion in interest. At the time of the Iran deal negotiations, the U.S. and Iran were involved in a legal arbitration case over the amount of interest the U.S. owed on this fund. Anyways, I'll post that link in the chat too. You can read about that there. if you want to. Okay, next thing that President Trump posted about Iran today. This came at 1:40 p.m. By the way, our viewer Denox thinks this is a 2-week break before the storm. Here is Trump's next post from today on Iran. By the way, thanks so much to AZ Intel's dad. AZ Intel's dad gave 20 people memberships. That's so nice of you. It really is AZ Intel's dad, by the way. Thank you so much. Please thank AZ Intel's dad or somebody else if they gave you a membership or a gift subscription. Thanks, Alex78, for another gift membership. I really appreciate it, Alex78. Thank you, TE88, who says Obama was dirty. I don't know what you mean by that, TE88, but thank you, TE88. I really appreciate it, TE88 PFCR. All right, here's what President Trump said at 1:40. The Democrats are doing everything possible to hurt the very strong position we are in with respect to Iran. Despite World War I lasting 4 years, 3 months, and 14 days, World War II lasting 6 years and 1 day, the Korean War lasting 3 years, 1 month, and 2 days, the Vietnam War lasting 19 years, 5 months, and 29 days, and Iraq lasting 8 years, 8 months, and 28 days. They like to say that I promised 6 weeks to defeat Iran, and actually, from the military standpoint, it was far faster than that. But I'm not going to let them rush the United States into making a deal that is not as good as it could have been. I read the fake news saying that I am under pressure to make a deal. This is not true. I am under no pressure whatsoever, although it will all happen relatively quickly. Time is not my adversary. The only thing that matters is that we finally, after 47 years, straighten out the mess that other presidents let happen because they didn't have the courage or foresight to do what had to be done with respect to Iran. We're in it, and it will be done right, and we won't let the weak and pathetic Democrats, traitors all, who for years have been talking about the dangers of Iran and that something has to be done, but now, since I'm the one doing it, belittle the accomplishments of our military and the Trump administration. This is being perfectly executed on the scale of Venezuela, just a bigger, more complex operation. The result will be the same. In my first term, I built the greatest military our country has ever seen, including adding Space Force. In my second term, I am properly and judiciously using our military to solve problems left to us by others of far less understanding or competence. Make America great again. Again, these were all posts from today. Rum Jungle thinks he is doing the right thing. Demo Ptolemy thinks it's a rant. Spud Wrench says it's divisive. Eden Jane KY says facts. Now, I think there's more. I think he posted more about Iran today. All right, hold on a moment here. So we read you 3 of them. Oh, here's another one about Iran from today. 2:11 p.m. President Trump. He said, I'm winning a war by a lot. Things are going very well. Our military has been amazing. And if you read the fake news, like the failing New York Times, the absolutely horrendous and disgusting Wall Street Journal or the now almost defunct, fortunately, Washington Post, you would actually think we are losing the war. The enemy is confused because they get the same media reports and yet they realize their Navy has been completely wiped out. Their Air Force has gone onto darker runways. They have no anti-missile or anti-airplane equipment. Their former leaders are mostly gone. This has been, in addition to everything else, regime change. And perhaps most important of all, the blockade, which we will not take off until there is a deal, is absolutely destroying Iran. They are losing $500 million a day, an unsustainable number, even in the short run. The anti-America fake news media is rooting for Iran to win, but it's not going to happen because I'm in charge. Just like these unpatriotic people used every ounce of their limited strength to fight me in the election, they continue to do so with Iran. The result will be the same. It already is. Darren Charlo says he needs to make up his mind. This is a war, or isn't it? I mean, he's called it a war before, and he calls it a war here, clearly. I was noticing that today. I don't remember the history of all of his uses of different terms, but obviously he calls it a war there. I have to have a cough drop again, I'm sorry. He does say also that he is not going to lift the blockade until there's a deal. Yes, I am a bit sick. Been too busy. So much going on lately. MJ Gamer God says, finally a president that does something. 1Q Blue says, Trump propaganda. I think there's one more post from today about Iran. But those are all from today. Oh no, there's more. There's more posts today from about Iran. More than one more post. So there's this one from 228. The Iranian leadership has forced hundreds of ships toward the United States, mostly Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska, to get their oil. Thank you very much, President Trump. All right, so he posted that one. Then there's another one. I thought there was one more. Is that it? That might be it. Actually, that might be it. I think that's it. I mean, there's a bunch of reposted stuff on his account today, but I think that is the last one of the posts that he wrote. Okay, so that's where he's at. And to remind you, he told Bloomberg in an interview today that Wednesday evening Washington time is the end of the ceasefire. He said it's highly unlikely that he will extend the ceasefire if no deal is reached before then. He said he is not lifting the blockade until a deal is signed. Our viewer, Don Stellan, says, the day is not over yet. Thanks, everybody, for wishing me to get better in the chat. I appreciate it. Thanks also, TE88PFCR. It's so nice of you, TE88. Thanks for your support. we be covering? Well, I was saying, are we going to be recovering negotiations tomorrow? But the reports that say J.D. Vance is going to leave, like the New York Times and CNN say he's going to leave tomorrow, early tomorrow, I believe, for Pakistan, which would mean, I mean, they wouldn't get there. I don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to be on in the middle of the night tomorrow night? Because if he leaves tomorrow morning U.S. time, I'm seeing about 18 hours flight from D.C. to Islamabad. So, you know, if he leaves at like 9 in the morning, then he would get there at roughly like 3 in the morning the next day, our time, Eastern time. Oh. Maybe I'll try to get some extra sleep during the day because I think the time to cover that will be when he's actually there. Oh, but hold on a second though, because I think what happened last time is they got there in the morning and then the negotiation started in the afternoon. There was several hours. Yeah, I don't even think we won't even be covering negotiations at all tomorrow or tomorrow night because it'll take so long to get there. Even if it happens, you're looking at Wednesday. So there can be negotiations going on the same day. It's very possible the negotiations, if they happen, will be going on while the ceasefire ends. How about that? Big Bird says, I bet it will go on for hours. I mean, last time it went on for like 15 hours or something. Rusty Spoon says, can't negotiate on an empty stomach. James Etheridge thinks more for you to cover is coming soon. We should do a poll question about the ceasefire. I don't have a time for you. He said the ceasefire ends on Wednesday evening, Washington, D.C. time. But they really could be negotiating while the ceasefire ends. Oh, I just saw an interesting report I wanted to mention too. I saw another report about J.D. Vance. Shipdog says this is going to be a quick ceasefire talk, I have a feeling. What else did Shipdog say? I'm trying to find the comment. Where is it? Where is it? Shipdog says this is going to be a quick ceasefire talk. I have a feeling it's going to be quickly decided. It's non-negotiable at this point. You mean you think it'll be like unsuccessful? Oh, thanks to Driver Ely. I'll put it towards that, Driver Eli. Driver Eli, thank you so much. Also, Nove 2200, One in Love, thanks for being a member, who says, I don't think they will get anywhere in talks. Hang on, some people send me messages too. I want to make sure I'm seeing some of the messages. So give me 1 second here. I just saw another report about J.D. Vance. Inverted Mango says, is Moshtaba Khamenei alive? I mean, I think the assumption is he is alive. We haven't seen him since he became supreme leader. There's reporting suggesting he's injured, but we don't know. I mean, he was named supreme leader. We have not seen him publicly since he was named supreme leader. There's reporting that says he was injured in one of the airstrikes, but you know, I personally have a bit of a hard time thinking they would have named somebody as supreme leader who's literally not alive. But you never know. He very well might be laying low for his personal safety. Hold on, somebody sent me something, and I wanted to check. Where did it go? PW360 mentioned a source in Axios. I was going to mention it. Thanks for writing in, PW360. I was going to mention Axios is also reporting, in addition to CNN and the Times, that J.D. Vance is going to leave tomorrow. That's what they're saying. Axios is saying that, give me a moment, please, guys. J.D. Vance is expected to travel to Pakistan tomorrow. Remember also what President Trump had said a couple days ago. Didn't he say that he mentioned the power plants and the bridges again? If I can find it here. Where is it? It's hard to find his posts on his timeline because there's so many reposts of things that you have to go by all the reposts. And those are much bigger than his posts, his original posts. Anyways, that aside, Axios is saying J.D. Vance is going to travel to Pakistan tomorrow. Oh, they said two sources told them he'd leave Tuesday morning. One said Monday night. Well, it's Monday night and I haven't heard anything. Super Mario says, can't they do the negotiations on Zoom? Would they really have J.D. Vance fly to Pakistan if they weren't sure that Iran was going to show up? That I don't know. Thank you, Alpha Anifer, who says it's all just market manipulation for the elite. Ninja Baseball Bat thinks it will be Tuesday evening. You mean that he leaves? That JD Vance leaves? Marcus G says, just make the deal on the phone. Yeah, it really does look like the negotiations, if they happen, will be while the ceasefire ends. Yeah, as Lift the Veil said, we mentioned this before. One of the Iranian negotiators seemed to suggest maybe they wouldn't be negotiating, but we don't know for sure. Speaker of Parliament Ghalibaf said, Trump, by imposing a siege and violating the ceasefire, seeks to turn this negotiating table in his own imagination into a table of surrender or to justify renewed warmongering. We do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threats. And in the past 2 weeks, we have prepared to reveal new cards on the battlefield. So when he says we do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threats, that kind of sounds like they're not going to negotiate. But I believe they had also said they weren't going to negotiate in the first round if there was no ceasefire in Lebanon. And I believe they did negotiate without a ceasefire in Lebanon. I think, but I'm not sure. I can tell you. The ceasefire in Lebanon was, I think, April 14th. Yeah. And J.D. Vance was there. That was before the 14th, right? Yeah, I think he left Pakistan on like the 12th. So they did negotiate before the ceasefire. Oh, thank you, Mitchell Pilot. Thank you, Mitchell Pilot. Mitchell Pilot thinks that Trump will not order large strikes on Iran's energy infrastructure. He will threaten to do a bunch more times, but I suspect he will announce a ceasefire extension first. We should do a quick poll about what happens when the ceasefire comes. What will happen when ceasefire ends? Ceasefire extension, U.S. attacks, nothing. Excuse me. U.S. attacks big, U.S. attacks small, and then nothing. That's going to be the 4 options. Poll time. This poll assumes there's not a deal. Well, I'm going to say U.S. attacks and then peace deal will be 1. Okay, I'm posting this poll right now. I am posting the poll right now. What will happen when ceasefire ends? Ceasefire extended. U.S. attacks. Peace deal. Nothing. Okay, I just posted that on Twitch. Now I'm going to post it on Facebook. I need a minute. Let's see what you guys say. First of all, let's watch you guys think about what you're going to answer in the poll. Let's see a live shot of you guys thinking about it. There we go. Live shot of you guys thinking about it. Okay. I'm going to post what people are saying right now. Here is the result on YouTube so far. 52% say U.S. attacks. Now, by the way, that could be a huge attack. It could be like a statement making small attack. I don't know. That's a whole other question. Joshua Erickson says big league attack. So that's what they say. Okay. Let me check. I'm looking at Facebook right now. Everybody on Facebook so far has said U.S. attacks. I'm going to put Twitch up in a second. Okay, Twitch, 50, very close to YouTube. Look at how close this is. 52%, 51% say U.S. attacks, and 54% on YouTube. Although more say nothing on Twitch than YouTube. So YouTube is 54% U.S. attacks, 25% ceasefire extension, 18% nothing, 3% peace deal. Twitch is 52% U.S. attacks, 27% say nothing. What if it's just nothing? 20% say ceasefire extension, 1% say peace deal. Fred Flushenbob says U.S. attacks. Grief thinks Trump will taco. I mean, how long, if there's no deal and the ceasefire expires and there's no attack, how long can that go on for? I mean, can it just be weeks with no attack, no deal, and everything just stays the same? Or a new ceasefire extension? That I don't know. Years, says Andy? I don't know about that. Hoagie says years. Javier says never-ending war. Gimmer Strike says realistically maybe 2 more times, I'm guessing. Tui says they will never agree to all the terms. Either it happens or doesn't. Strong One thinks Iran is trying to goad Trump into a ground invasion? Pale Shelter says, what does the USA gain by attacking? Well, President Trump might think it puts more pressure on the Iranian leadership to make a deal. Maybe. Ellie Faust says regime is finished. Meshuggah says, anyone think Iran attacks? You mean before the U.S. attacks? You never know. I mean, with Iran, when you say Iran attacks, if they could, attack, they could try to do something that affects the economy around the world, like attacking oil infrastructure in Saudi Arabia or having the Houthis attack the Red Sea shipping, because that could make a significant difference to oil prices, for example. It's a fair point, though, that the ceasefire ends. It ends not just for the U.S., but for Iran. Now, of course, Iran's going to be very limited to what it can do to the U.S. military. But Iran has been hitting a lot of economic targets. So something to keep in mind. Something also to keep in mind is if the U.S. were to launch some sort of attack on Iran, maybe they would retaliate by hitting some sort of economic infrastructure. Eden thinks he's going to hit the bridges and oil structure and ruin their money flow. Ceasefire ends Wednesday evening, U.S. time. Carol Valadon says yes to Iran attacking first. Chris N says the light at the end of the tunnel is a train. All right, thank you for voting in our poll. So again, over 50%, the winner is U.S. attacks when the ceasefire ends. That'd be a big deal. On Facebook, the vote was, I think Facebook, it stopped. Or the poll, it seems like, I stopped getting results. Some results came in. I don't know. Anyways, it says 100% U.S. attacks, but my guess is that might not be accurate. Oh, was it not active before? I'll leave it up. I think maybe it wasn't active. Maybe I accidentally closed the poll on Facebook. I'll check in a second. What if there's just no, what if there's no talks? What if the talks get called off? What happens then? Now, I can't, the Institute for the Study of War put out some analysis. I don't know if this is true, but it's interesting to look at. They say they think Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf appears to be engaged in a serious intra-regime debate with the Revolutionary Guards commander Major General Ahmad Valhidi and other senior regime officials who are opposed to negotiations with the U.S. I need another cough drop. Vahidi is reportedly the only. Vahidi appears to have the upper hand over Ghalibaf at the moment, says Institute for the Study of War. Vahidi is reportedly the only Iranian official with direct access to the supreme leader. Interesting if true. And is serving as a conduit for relaying key decisions to other regime officials, according to Israeli media on April 19th. I don't know if that's true. U.S. and Iranian delegations will reportedly meet in Pakistan for talks in the coming days. U.S. and Iranian demands appear to largely have stayed the same, however. Okay. U.S. Navy continued to enforce its blockade of Iranian ports, directing 27 vessels to change course since the start of the blockade. Okay. We heard that report from Reuters that sources told them that the cargo ship that the U.S. seized was likely transporting dual-use items from China to Iran. The Iranian parliament is attempting to formalize Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz by drafting a bill that would ban Israeli-linked vessels from transiting the Strait of Hormuz, require vessels from hostile countries to obtain approval from Iran's Supreme National Security Council to transit the strait, and bar states that caused damage to Iran from transiting the strait until they paid reparations to Iran. We talked about this yesterday. There's this whole Iranian parliament wish list plan for the strait. Just to mention that again, I have this from yesterday. This is from Iranian state media, but this was the Strait of Hormuz management plan. From the Parliament's Civil Engineering Committee. So some of the things it mentioned were any vessel has to pay a guidance, surveillance, and security fee. Payment of fees is in Iranian national currency. Any country that has participated in any way in the war will be allowed to pass only after paying compensation for the damages incurred. just as an example. I thought this one was interesting. Oops. Number 8 or number 7. No. Number 8. The transit of the fleet of a country that uses fictitious names other than the name of the Persian Gulf in its documents and statements is prohibited through the Strait of Hormuz. I think the U.S. likes, and I think the Trump administration likes to call it the Arabian Sea and not the Persian Gulf. Persian Gulf, Persia refers to Iran. The Arabian Sea refers to, I guess, the Arabian Peninsula, not to Iran. Let's look at a map. So I like that it's interesting they bothered to put that one on there. Hold on. I'll show you a map. Oopsie. Ada Geddon thinks the IRGC is running things. Here. So there's the Persian Gulf, right? Here. But it says Persian Gulf, Arabian Gulf. So there's Persia, aka Iran, and here's the Arabian Peninsula. Marcus G thinks all past presidents are rolling in their grave for not doing what Trump is doing? One of our viewers mentioned marine traffic. Marine traffic currently has it listed as the Persian Gulf. Although I don't know, maybe it depends on where you're using marine traffic. Marine traffic, it says Persian Gulf. Betsy's tag says, now we are fighting over names again. This is going beyond petty. Noel thinks that Trump will call off the talks and J.D. Vance will not leave. I also want to mention this. Sorry, I know it's annoying when I eat a cough drop, but if I don't, I'll be coughing all stream. Washington Post says Iran talks on shaky footing after U.S. seizure of ship in Hormuz. The ceasefire is expected to expire Wednesday. At a news conference on Monday, a spokesman for Iran's foreign ministry said, so far we have not made any decisions regarding the next round of negotiations. He said the seizure of the Iranian-flagged ship and the continued U.S. blockade of Iranian ports were violations of the ceasefire agreement. The Trump administration has confirmed its delegation would attend peace talks in Pakistan. Trump initially said the talks would occur Tuesday, but that date has now been pushed back, obviously. Even before the seizure of the ship, says the Post, Iranian officials were threatening not to attend the talks. Iranian state media reported on Sunday Tehran had rejected the second round of talks and said its absence of the talks was because of Washington's excessive demands and ongoing naval blockade. It was not immediately clear, though, whether that decision was final. As I mentioned, Iranian officials made similar statements in the lead up to the first round of negotiations, but then they showed up. An Iranian official told the Washington Post the tone of Trump's public statements and the ongoing U.S. blockade were the two most serious issues threatening talks. He said the two sides were largely agreed on the outlines of a deal, but Trump's public maximalism risked scuttling the diplomatic progress. I mean, maybe after all of this, where both sides have been publicly given their maximalist demands, where both sides basically tell you, here's everything we want. We want all this stuff. And both sides say it, and they're very far apart publicly. Who knows? Maybe privately they're close to a compromise, right? Could sort of come out of nowhere publicly. Maybe, I don't know. Mediators in Pakistan, says the Post, have conveyed similar messages to Trump, warning against such strong public rhetoric and encouraging the U.S. president to allow for the talks in Islamabad to appear as a win-win for Iran and the United States. Storm Laughter thinks it's gratuitous to blame Trump for negotiation failings. Ole Hansen thinks Vance is not respected as a knowledgeable negotiator. Pablo Patriot says deal or no deal. Don't forget, though, there could also be deal framework. The problem is, though, whatever they deal or not, whatever kind of deal they make or don't make, there is the bare fact that Iran currently is controlling the Strait of Hormuz, and it's not open, and that they're controlling it in the sense of most ships are not using the Strait of Hormuz because of threat of Iranian attack. So President Trump I can't imagine he would pull the troops out of the Middle East without that changing. But are they just going to give that up in a negotiation? You see what I'm saying? Like, this has been the question for, I think, over a month. How is that all going to play out? Dr. McRib says there's no negotiating with a madman. Gary Myers thinks the IRGC will never give in. San Solo thinks it will only be opened up through force, unfortunately. You know what? I need to take one more minute here. Can you give me a minute? Give me a minute. I'm coming right back. 1 minute. Hold on. Thank you for your patience. Let's see. By the way, thanks to Crack Sandwich, who says ceasefire ends equals Israel using nukes. That's what Crack Sandwich said. Thank you, Crack Sandwich. Thanks also, Josh Barnes. Josh says, I thought this war was only supposed to last 4 to 6 weeks. How long has it been so far? We are in week number 8 right now. We're in week number 8. Thank you, Joe Mo, who says, what influence does Iran have in the Red Sea? Iran supports the Houthis, and the Houthis are in Yemen, and they, in theory, could start attacking shipping in the Red Sea on behalf of Iran. It's been talked about for weeks. It hasn't happened yet. There's been lots of speculation about it. If they were to somehow attack and cut off shipping in the Red Sea, that would be enormous. Red Sea, like the Strait of Hormuz and Persian Gulf, is a very important waterway for world trade, including oil. But they haven't done it yet. There's been a lot of speculation about it. So that is something to keep an eye on. Thank you, Jomo. That would be a huge thing if it happened, but it has not happened. They launched, B. Earhart says, of one missile. I think they launched maybe a couple missiles, at least one at Israel, the Houthis from Yemen. I mean, a year or two ago, they were doing it more regularly, launching missiles at Israel. They've also, in years past, the last few years, there were some times when they were attacking shipping in the Red Sea, but not right now. Dorn Machine says, seems like they would have already done that if they could. I understand your thought, but there's also a school of thought that says that is something that Iran would be keeping in its back pocket as a possible escalation if it needed it, if things got bad enough. So I don't know. Thank you so much, TE88 PFCR. Thank you for all your support, TE88. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Also, thanks to T88 said that MS Now said JD Vance will be going tonight. I got to look at that. I haven't seen that report. I've seen nothing about them traveling tonight. I'm looking. Again, I haven't seen that report that Vance is leaving tonight. You never know. You never know. It's got to be soon if it's tonight. Well, it's 10:35 here. Oil right now, we have Brent at about 95 and WTI at about 86.5. Jerry says they were supposed to leave tonight. Well, they originally were supposed to arrive tonight, according to President Trump, and then that got delayed. Checking some other sources as well. But that's the big things we're waiting for, is possible talks and end of the ceasefire. Jen said that Axios was claiming that Iran was going to attend the talks. I looked at the Axios article. I didn't see that, but maybe I just missed it. I'll check again. I was looking at the, thanks Jen for writing in. I was looking at the Axios, for the Axios article, or at the Axios article. I was just looking at it. Yeah, I mean, the current Axios report says that a source told them that the Iranians were stalling because of pressure from the Revolutionary Guards to hold a firmer line, no talks without an end to the blockade. So, but Axios also claims that the supreme leader has given a green light for negotiations. So maybe the Revolutionary Guard disagrees with the supreme leader. I don't know. Maybe the supreme leader thinks there should be negotiations and the Revolutionary Guard thinks there should be none without the blockade being lifted. That I can't tell you. Spartiate says the supreme leader is in a coma. We don't know exactly how he is doing. Michelle says, don't blame us for repeating the timeline your president put out there. So will we be covering negotiations in the coming days? You know, we were talking about this. We were talking last night about whether the U.S. had violated the ceasefire when it seized that ship, attacked and seized that cargo ship, Iranian cargo ship. And I was saying, well, there's no ceasefire document. Depends on how you interpret the ceasefire. But I'm not aware there's any document that specifies the conditions of the ceasefire. So maybe impossible to determine. AP says experts vary on whether U.S. boat broke ceasefire with Iran. The U.S. did one expert at the Brookings Institution said the U.S. did not violate the ceasefire because it was limited to bombing Iran, not enforcing the American blockade against Iranian-linked vessels. Michael O'Hanlon said, we agreed to stop dropping bombs on them, and that's the basic thing they wanted. The U.S. still had to enforce the blockade if you're going to make it mean anything, he said. But Mark Kansian, a retired Marine colonel and a senior defense advisor with the Center for Strategic and International Studies, said a violation is up for interpretation because there were no defined terms of the ceasefire, which is I said as well. Trump announced it, the Iranians agreed, but there's no formal agreement. So whether it broke the ceasefire or not depends on your perspective. Nothing was written down. That's just what I was saying to you. Wall Street says it's such a Trump agreement. Yeah, I don't believe there's any existent single agreement that they signed or anything. They might have never agreed on all the terms. Mark thinks the blockade is an act of war. Check the Geneva Convention. This is interesting. I hadn't heard this. So this is a different story, but there was an attack. A shooter shot some people today at these popular pyramids in Mexico, the Teotihuacan pyramids. And BNO News said the gunman at Mexico's Teotihuacan pyramids had an AI-generated image of himself with the Columbine shooters. The attack happened on Columbine anniversary. Without getting into a whole different topic here, I'll mention that. But let me show you something about it just so you know what we're talking about here. Here, look. I don't want to show you that. Well, let's see. Gunman shoots several tourists at historic pyramids in Mexico, killing a Canadian. An armed man standing atop one of the historic Teotihuacan pyramids opened fire on tourists Monday, killing one Canadian and leaving at least 13 people injured at the archaeological site north of Mexico City. The shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 7 people were wounded by gunshots. How the other people were injured was not disclosed. Video and photos published by local media showed a man standing with a gun on top of a pyramid while people ducked for cover. A number of gunshots rang out in the videos. It took place around 11:30 a.m. The man standing on the structure's platform started firing upward. Terrible. These pyramids at Teotihuacan are a series of massive structures on the outskirts of Mexico City, built by 3 different ancient civilizations. They are one of Mexico's most important tourist destinations. They drew more than 1.8 million international visitors last year. You can see there's a map here on AP. It's outside of Mexico City. The article in AP says, in past years, staff at the site carried out security scans before people entered the area, but have since stopped. Here's another picture of one of the pyramids there on the right. Roger Shoemaker says, my dad has been there. Terrible. Condolences to the family of the person who was killed. But again, I just saw this. Here's a picture also of the site right there on the right there on the AP article. But again, I just saw this detail that BNO News was mentioning about Columbine, which I had not seen before. I don't know where that originally came from. Again, BNO News said, they're reliable. They said that the gunman at the pyramids had an AI-generated image of himself with the Columbine shooters, and the attack happened on the Columbine anniversary. And yes, April 20th is the day of the Columbine High School massacre. 3i says, I visited those pyramids when I was a kid. It was pretty amazing. Pioneer Twin says, I doubt JD will fly out tomorrow. There is no reason to go if Iran is not there. I think if he does leave, that strongly suggests that the U.S. knows that Iran's going to show up. I have a hard time thinking that they would send them there if they didn't know they were going to show up. President Trump, the White House just posted that Trump is doing an interview on CNBC at 8:30 a.m. live. The White House says, don't miss it. All right, so I'm thinking maybe it might not be the worst idea. So, as you know, I am kind of sick. To maybe start wrapping up soon and try to get some rest because I think there might be more going on the next couple days. I'd like to get better. I hope I get better. I don't know. We'll see. And because I don't have that much new right now, so I'm sorry we got on the air so late today, but you know, it's been super busy. So maybe that's the smart call. I mean, if there's something huge that happens tonight, I can always come back on the air. Not a problem. I'll keep an eye on things. But at this point, I don't have much new to tell you. We could be covering negotiations in a day or so. We could be covering the end of the ceasefire. So why don't I do that? And I'll keep an eye on things, and I'll try to get on earlier tomorrow, but we'll see how things are. I'll try to. Hopefully, maybe I can get to bed a little bit earlier, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. But I really appreciate you guys showing up for the stream, and we got to do an update, and who knows, there might be other breaking news as well. So I'll keep an eye on things too. But I really appreciate you being here, and we'll definitely have more coverage in the coming days. And I'll also post on my X account when I see things happen, which is at Lookner on X. You can follow me over there at Lookner on X for breaking news. And I appreciate everybody's well wishes in the chat. Thank you. And subscribe and follow if you want the channel. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda, agenda-free TV. I would suggest turn on the notifications for the channel. Oh, by the way, I owe a thanks, real quick. I do owe a thanks to Talina Metro on Facebook for the stars. Sorry, Talina Metro, I forgot to thank you. Thanks, Talina Metro. Anyways, I'll thank some more people later. But I would recommend turn on the notifications because we could come on the air at any time. There can be breaking news at any time. We have our own notification system. It's free. You sign up once, you get sent a notification before we go live every single time. It's really reliable. So I would strongly recommend, if you don't want to miss a stream, sign up for our free notifications. The mods will post a link to the notifications in the chat. And you can also find a link to the notification sign up on Facebook and YouTube in the description of this video. So sign up for those. And again, you can follow me on X if you want. But I really appreciate people watching. We got to read a bunch of comments tonight. So thanks for sending your comments in, sending your updates in, sending your questions in. And huge thanks to our moderators, by the way. Huge thanks to them. Leslie Ladyhawk and Haley Girl and Ruth. All of our other YouTube moderators. That's the reason that we can have a chat. Have our chat rooms as our moderators. Hold on, I gotta open up the chat window again. Ugh. chat rooms as our moderators. Hold on, I gotta open up the chat. But you never know when something big is going to happen. So if there's something big, we'll come back on the air. So thanks to all of our YouTube moderators and our Twitch moderators. People like 13 Alamo, Good Luck Duck, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Matthew, Kohai 3, and Sarah. Huge thanks to all of our Twitch moderators. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha moderate for us on X. Big thank you. And over on Facebook, Kay Lowry Body was moderating. Paul Anderson, Andrea Holder, Shannon Davis Hughes. Big thank you. Daniel, our viewer Daniel said there's nothing about in the Geneva Convention about blockades. That's what Daniel Serentano said. Maybe that, I'm not going to do that research now, but maybe it's something we can look into next time. If you remind me next time. Hey, also, thanks so much for supporting the channel. So nice of you guys. I really appreciate it. You are the ones that allow the channel to exist with all your support. So thanks so much to everybody who supported tonight. Very kind of you. Did I get everybody? Let's see here. Did I get everybody on Twitch? E-Biker, thanks for subscribing, E-Biker. Oh, also Cece. Thank you, Cece, for supporting. And everybody else on Twitch who supported, and everybody else, everywhere else. Also, okay, so I mentioned you can go to check out the ships at marinetraffic.com, as I mentioned before, if you want to. Marine ship tracking and marine analytics site provider. Another good way to find out when we're live, by the way, if you're on X, is follow Agenda Free TV on X. That's somewhere I always post before we go live. Give you a heads up. Post updates about the channel there. Agenda Free TV on X at Agenda Free TV. Also, we do have a chat. You can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. The Agenda Free TV. The Agenda Free TV Discord chat. It's free. A number of our viewers like doing that. Check it out. It's the same link as the free notifications link. And by the way, thanks so much to our moderators on Discord as well, who moderate the chat there. You know what I forgot to do is I was going to play back like the last 3 hours. Since we've been on the air, I was going to do a little playback of what happened. Really quick. Let's look at this. Put that 21. No. Oh, sorry. 20. This is always type it in wrong. Look at this. I did it. Great. There. So if I do this, this will show us like the last 4 hours or so. We did the whole 24 hours. I just wanted to see the last 4 hours, what's going on there. A number of ships did move through in the last day, not a huge amount. So it looks like we are seeing maybe the Ian Spear move through. Ian Spear, that's one of them. Let's look up that one real quick. Ian Spear is an oil products tanker, and it is under the flag of Comoros, and it's heading to Oman. That appears to be going through. Did they pay a fee to go through? It beats me, but it certainly looks like. No, it looks. Where did it take off from? I don't know. Looks like it tried to go through at some point and it turned around, right? Looks like a couple days ago it tried to go through and turned around, right? And then it went back. Then was here, and now it looks like it's leaving. Try attempt number 2 for it. It looks like. Interesting. Oil products tanker was left from Iraq. Okay. All right. Hey, also, I wanted to mention if you watch us on YouTube, uh, I I would recommend turning on the YouTube notifications. It's another good way to find out when we're streaming live. And if you want to, you can go to YouTube. And if you want to turn on the YouTube notifications, subscribe to the channel, click the bell, choose all notifications. Again, subscribe to the channel, click the bell, choose all notifications. If you're already subscribed, click the bell and choose all notifications. All right. I also want to thank very much our Facebook subscribers like Tolina Metro and Dolly Clark and Diane Allworth and Michael Clayton and Robert Real II and Kay Lowry Body. Thank you for subscribing and supporting the channel on Facebook. And the other subscribers I thanked earlier. Joanne Gradwall, thank you. Kristen McConnell Gates, thank you. Okay. Also, our Twitch subscribers as well. Huge thanks, people like Wall Street and Shaggy. Eero Gazille PHX Blaze. Eero Gazille, Phoenix Blaze, I think. And eBiker, thanks for subscribing as well. Justin D. Winters, Beatnik Bandit, Simp Nasty Scrimp, CC Wall Street, Hugh J, Billy Joe, Allistic, E-Hawk, Seed Music, Stumpy Stump, Just a Chill Guy, O'Shea Matt, Glue Man, and all of our other Twitch subscribers. Huge thank you. Did I say E-Hawk MPI? I think I did. And our YouTube members, huge thanks to you. People like Evelyn in Maine, Platinum Dose, Roger Shoemaker, Claudiot, Joe Hart, Confidence in God, Holstrand, Eric Johnson, John Turpin, Echo Park Mom, the one and only, Roger Shoemaker, Hasseldehoff, John Turpin, Fricking Lunatic, Noel Gilliland. All we know about the ceasefire, in terms, we don't have a firm ending time. Trump said it was going to be Wednesday night. Wednesday night, DC time. That's what he said. Dom Machine, thanks for being a member. Confidence in God, Mark Renfell. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Cliff P. Thanks 2EG for watching. Thanks Fornax for subscribing. Thanks Lulu for watching. Dragon Tail over there. Babster over there on Twitch. Thank you for watching. Khalid Mahmood, thanks for watching. Khalid Mahmood. Tolina Metro, Michael Fergal. Thanks for watching. Judy Fishaw. All right, we are going to wrap this up. But again, I will keep an eye on things, guys. I will be keeping an eye on things. If there's some huge developments, we can come back on the air. I'm going to try to get some rest, though. Going to try to get some rest. All right, guys. So that is it for now. And let me just do one more check here. Yep. All right, that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching our live coverage, and we'll see you soon with more live coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.